Greetings, student subscribers and casual listeners of my channel. Today, I wanted to share with you some interesting parallels in the books and movies about Harry Potter that make this story a bit more multifaceted than it might seem at first glance. Enjoy watching. Number 10. He Who Must Not Be Named. In the world of Harry Potter, almost all wizards fear Voldemort. This fear is so strong that it even extends to his name. He is referred to as you-know-who, he who must not be named, or simply the Dark Lord. When a brave soul dares to utter Voldemort's name, everyone around them shudders with fear. J.K. Rowling did an excellent job instilling a sense of awe towards the villain simply by showing how characters react to his name. Since this technique worked, why not use it again? Yes, Voldemort is a wizard that other wizards are deathly afraid of. But in the world of magical creatures, he has his counterpart. I am, of course, talking about the basilisk. This beast embodies danger itself, with encounters that are almost impossible to survive. Everything from its deadly gaze to its venom, which can destroy Horcruxes, tells us this. But most importantly, acromantulas fear to even speak the name of the basilisk, just as wizards fear to say the name of the Dark Lord. Incidentally, they are also connected by their failed attempts to kill Harry Potter. Number 9. Dangerous books. Since we mentioned the basilisk, let's talk about Ginny, who opened the Chamber of Secrets and released this monster. Naturally, she didn't do it herself, but under the influence of Tom Riddle's diary. The films quickly forget that Ginny was once possessed by a Horcrux, but in the books, this fact significantly impacts her character. When Harry in his 6th year begins to depend on a textbook, blindly following instructions written by an unknown person, it is Ginny who first sounds the alarm, having first-hand experience of how dangerous this can be. Quote, "Wait a minute," said a voice above Harry's left ear, and suddenly the same scent he had sensed in Slughorn's dungeon hit him. He looked around and saw Ginny. "Did I hear you right? You're following instructions written in a book by someone you don't even know, Harry?" She was worried and angry. Harry immediately understood what she was thinking. "It's nothing," he reassured her, lowering his voice, "not like it was with Riddle's diary. This is just an old textbook with someone's notes. But you're following the instructions in it." "Just tried a few tips written in the margins. Honestly, Ginny, there's nothing to worry about." "Ginny's right," Hermione immediately chimed in. "We should check for any traps. I mean, those instructions could be suspicious. Who knows?" Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. Of course, the Half-Blood Prince's textbook turned out to be an ordinary book. But the parallel with the diary is still quite striking, especially considering that Harry, blindly trusting his new friend, almost killed Draco in the end. Number 8. Following in his father's footsteps. Harry Potter is just like his father. Appearance except for the eyes, glasses, character, an irresistible urge to break school rules, the ability to get into trouble, even tense relations with Snape. All this he inherited from James. So it's no surprise that Harry married a girl who reminded him of his mother. The resemblance between Lily and Ginny boils down to red hair, belonging to Gryffindor, and, if you think about it, the favour of Professor Slughorn. Number 7. The Mother's Sacrifice. I've mentioned this before, but Harry literally repeated his mother's sacrifice. Lily gave her life to protect her son, which is why Voldemort couldn't kill him, and Harry was ready to die for all the inhabitants of Hogwarts. Quote, "If you haven't come to me within the hour and surrendered yourself to me, the battle will resume. This time I shall enter the fray myself, Harry Potter, and I shall find you, and I shall punish every last man, woman and child who has tried to conceal you from me. 1 hour. Lord Voldemort, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows." Harry, as Voldemort wanted, came directly to him without thinking of defending himself. and he indeed died so that the battle would cease. The conditions were fulfilled. Even though Harry miraculously survived, it doesn't negate the fact. A randomly concluded magical contract came into force and gave Hogwarts defenders protection from Voldemort. At least if you believe Harry's words. Quote, "You won't be killing anyone else tonight," said Harry as they circled each other, eyes locked. "You won't be able to kill any of them ever again. Do you get it? I was ready to die to stop you from hurting these people." "But you didn't." "I meant to, and that's what matters. I've done what my mother did. They're protected from you. Haven't you noticed how none of the spells you put on them are binding? You can't torture them. You can't touch them. You don't learn from your mistakes, do you, Riddle?" Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. Number 6. The Enemy in the Mirror. The books often highlight the similarities between Harry Potter and Voldemort. Both are orphans who grew up among Muggles. Both sincerely love Hogwarts and consider it their true home. Each was praised by all teachers except one. Dumbledore did not trust Riddle, and Snape disliked Potter. We don't count Umbridge, as she was not part of the main cast. Additionally, both Tom and Harry gathered a group of like-minded people in their school years, Death Eaters and Dumbledore's army. Dumbledore's army even used Voldemort's experience, creating their analogues of the Dark Marks so that Potter could summon them at any time. Quote, "You know what this reminds me of?" "No, what?" "The Death Eaters' scars. Voldemort touches one, and all their scars burn. That's his signal for them to come." "Well, yes," said Hermione quietly. "That's what gave me the idea. But notice, I decided to etch the date on a piece of metal rather than on our members' skin. Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. And I'm not even mentioning the most obvious, like Parseltongue abilities or relation to the Peverils. Number 5. An Old Dream. The years Harry spent with his aunt and uncle were far from happy. It's no wonder the boy often dreamed that one day a distant relative would show up on Privet Drive and take him away. But that never happened because the Dursleys were his only family. Quote, "When Harry was younger, he had often dreamed that some unknown relation would come and take him away from the Dursleys, but this had never happened. The Dursleys were his only family." Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. At least, that's what Potter thought for a very long time. However, in The Prisoner of Azkaban, his childhood dream almost came true when Sirius offered Harry to move in with him. Quote, I understand if you want to stay with your aunt and uncle," said Black. "But, well, think about it. Once my name's cleared, if you wanted a different home..." Some sort of explosion took place in the pit of Harry's stomach. "What, live with you?" he said, accidentally cracking his head on a bit of rock protruding from the ceiling. "Leave the Dursleys?" "Of course, I thought you wouldn't want to," said Black quickly. "I understand. I just thought..." "Are you insane?" said Harry, his voice easily as croaky as Black's. "Of course, I want to leave the Dursleys. Have you got a house? When can I move in?" Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, number 4. Pig in a wig. Such parallels between characters' thoughts and future events are quite common. For example, in the second chapter of The Philosopher's Stone, Harry thinks that Dudley looks like a pig in a wig, and in the fourth chapter, Hagrid tries to turn him into an actual pig. Quote, "I was trying to turn him into a pig, but I suppose he was too much like a pig anyway. There wasn't much left to do." Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. Number 3. Suspicious Moody. We all know Alastor Moody. He's a very memorable character. However, like the characters in the books, we're not very familiar with the real Moody because most of the time it was an imposter in his place. Yes, Barty Crouch did a good job playing the role of Mad-Eye, deceiving even old acquaintances like Albus Dumbledore, so the difference between the fake and the original was practically non-existent. But that's precisely what's scary. And when in The Deathly Hallows, Alastor, who had been impersonated for almost a year, offers everyone a taste of Polyjuice Potion, you can't help but wonder if it's the real Moody before us. Number 2. Disgraceful freedom. House elves in the Harry Potter world are the slaves of wizards, so it seems natural and understandable to us that Dobby wants to gain his freedom. But this opinion is called into question when we meet Winky, for whom freedom is a disgrace. Quote, "This evening, Winky has behaved in a manner I would not have believed possible," Mr. Crouch said slowly. "I told her to remain in the tent. I told her to stay there while I went to sort out the trouble. And I find that she disobeyed me. This means clothes." "No!" shrieked Winky, prostrating herself at Mr. Crouch's feet. "No, master! Not clothes! Not clothes!" "Yes, Winky is a disgraced elf, but Winky does not want paying," said the elf, tears pouring down her face. "Winky is not sunk so low as that. Winky is properly ashamed of being free. Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire." The fact is, house elves are completely satisfied with their fate. They don't want freedom. Receiving clothes is the greatest shame for a respectable elf. That's why freedom-loving Dobby, who was happy with a sock and now demands payment for his work, causes surprise, misunderstanding, and even condemnation among his peers. To the other house elves, he seems like an oddball. Most wizards, accustomed to the elves' obedience, share this opinion. Number 1. Full circle. And we'll end with the detail that, in many ways, began the story of Harry Potter. Hagrid delivered the baby to the Dursleys on a flying motorcycle, where he lived almost until adulthood. It's very symbolic that Harry left his aunt and uncle's house in the same way, on a flying motorcycle with the giant. Thank you for watching till the end. I hope this means you found it interesting, and if so, don't forget to like, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel.